That's one of the 6 basic strategies that the white supremacists are using now, and that is racial dislocation, confusion. The key word here is confusion, but the word dislocation also is very important because it means you are forced to move from one place to another. Dislocation is not the same as relocation. Relocation is when you voluntarily go from one place to another, whether it's one house to another, one apartment to another, or one town to another, one area to another. But you do it voluntarily. Dislocation is when you are being forced to. Now, the white supremacists have to be able to make black people, non-white people, move from one place to another. They're not going to give that up. That goes with the package, the entire package of the system of white supremacy itself. In the system of white supremacy, there are some absolutes. So always be prepared to be forced to move. I mean, if you're renting a place and whatnot, you can think that you're settled in and all like that, even with a fine job and all like that. All they have to do is just come around and go up on your rent. But you say, well, that's all the more reason I don't rent. I own my own place. Oh, you think you do, and you're non-white? Well, they can come along and say, we got something called eminent domain. And we are going to run some railroads through where your house is. Why? Because it's good for the body politic as a whole. And you say, well, why my house? Well, why not your house? And that's the kind of answer they give. So where the black people are, that's where they run the new rail lines. And the black people have to move. They say, well, that happens to some white people too. True. But white people have more alternatives. Mm-hmm. They have more compensation. The black people don't get this. And they are forced to move maybe several times, where the white person might not be forced to move but once. See, black people are always on the move. You look at the newsreels and all like that. It's always dark-skinned people who have their babies in their arms, straggling across the desert, or trying to get over some fence, or trying to cross somebody's border, with someone chasing them with rifles, trying to corral them and send them back where they came from, whatnot. Well, where they came from was also orchestrated by the white supremacists. You're forced to move from where you are. Then when you get ready to go to another place, they're saying you can't come here, even though they control, the white supremacists control all places where non-white people are. You got to have that in mind. They're talking about people trying to get out of Haiti, people trying to get out of Nigeria and whatnot, and fleeing across the desert and whatnot, or people trying to get out of Honduras. Well, why are they trying to leave Honduras? They say, well, the gang warfare and people with guns and people just going around crazy, doing crazy things, burning down people's houses and shooting them in the street. And the little children, not being able to play on the playground because somebody's going to kill them and all like that. Well, now, why is this happening? The white supremacists are behind it. Where the guns come from? Always the white supremacists. Nobody but them. Nobody but them. Always them. Never anybody else. It's always them. Where dark-skinned people, people of color, are concerned. So the people say, I can't stay here anymore. I can't stay in this neighborhood anymore. I'm in south side of Chicago. I can't stay here anymore. I got to get out. So that's one way of getting you out. Gunfire, that they just allow people bodies to stack up in the funeral homes every weekend. So you decide that you can't walk the streets, you can't get to work, you can't stand on that bus stop early in the morning, and the person at your job is threatening to fire you because you are not arriving on time, and you say, well, if I go out in the dark, I have to leave where I am in the dark, and I have to stand on the bus stop, and the bus is always late. See, it's all well figured out. The white supremacists already know this because they orchestrated it, and so they know you can't stay there. So you're going to be looking for another place. And when you go looking for that other place, they say, oh, sure, you can move in here, but now where's the money? And you say, well, I don't have that much money. Well, then you can't move in here. It takes money. You know, the world goes around on money, buddy. You know, so keep moving. Yes. So that's something that's going to continue. That's why when people say that they don't want to talk about racism, they're really saying, I don't want to talk about anything that has to do with my being on this planet.
Right.
I want to talk about something about, you know, on another planet. You know, I don't even want to talk about anything that has to do with me being on this planet, because you better believe if you have dark skin and you're on this planet, you're under the system of white supremacy, and all of your problems come from that.
Wow.
So it means that you have to be serious about what white supremacy is and how it works and what to do about it on a daily basis.
Exactly.
And as far as dislocation is concerned, being forced to move from one place to another, stop accumulating stuff that you don't need. Stop accumulating stuff that you don't need.